we're jumping in and doing some redesign of the front garden this week. There's a video yesterday with the front of the fence out there, adding some things that can really tolerate that heat on the other side of that fence next to the asphalt. And as you come in through the gate, this garden is going to be hot colors this year. Okay, so last year we kind of did the muted soft tones, purples and lavenders and that kind of thing. We're going to do some of that in the back garden, but we're going to go back to our clown college days, okay, out here out front, and it's going to be oranges and really hot colors. Okay, so and all of those, we've started seed according to that, bought a few things according to that, and we're coming all in. If you guys will remember, this was turf. The back garden back there where the patio is now was turf, and this was a small piece of turf originally. Did a video on how to sod it, all that kind of stuff, and then pretty much immediately knew I didn't want to have grass out here at all. I just don't want to have a mower if I don't have to, and we can show off a lot more plants this way. So we came back in here and started redesigning this front garden last year, and in the process we just filled it all in with annuals and perennials basically, and we didn't have anything evergreen in here really. So we have come back in here already with the Suntastic pink abelia is evergreen and will bloom all summer. We had put we had gotten at the Pinkham Garden, up in Norfolk. When we toured that garden, they gave us this variegated gardenia. That's part of this evergreen redo here. We planted a conifer out here that's low, and again, we needed to plug a few evergreen things in here so it's got some stability, because when it went to sleep this winter, it was nothing in a big splash out here. And we want to have that seasonal color, that seasonal impact, that, you know, this literally clown college is what I call this design. But when it goes to sleep in the winter, I would like for, if somebody drives down the road and, you know, or we had the NC State Horticulture Club was supposed to be here last Monday, but it was raining, so it got delayed. So they're going to see a much better garden than they would have a week ago when they come in a couple weeks. But there's just had big holes out here with nothing during the winter months. So I want to be able to say in February this garden looks great, as well as the middle of summer when it looks wild. Okay, so there you go. That's the point of that part. But in this video, I came in here and put in 3 of these Gerber daisies. This is the Garden Jewels series that the Southern Living Plant Collection has. We have a couple of other ones in the garden already. They're really reliable perennials for us. Like a lot of perennials, they don't particularly like wet feet in the winter time, so as long as it's moist but not wet during the winter, they reliably come back for us. Some winters they don't die completely back. In fact, the last 2 winters they had not. This year they died completely back to the ground. But these are big, healthy 3-gallon containers, and they just bloom and bloom and bloom. And they're part of this new orange coloration. There were 3 of them added to the garden. What we try to do, and I mention this sometimes in my consultation work, is that everybody says plant odd numbers, odd numbers, odd numbers, and that makes total sense. But where you're planting 1s and 3s and 5s, sometimes I'll suggest to someone to buy an even number and put 3 on one side of the path and put 1 down the way a little further down the path. So you're still planting in odd numbers basically, but you're tying the garden together a bit, using something that carries over to another space in the garden. So just a thought on that, about how to divide the plants up. The first choice Caryopteris came out of the ground. As you know, last year it started dying in the middle of the season, but it actually had a root sucker on it, which I dug up, separated from it, dug up. We're going to root it out into a container and just put it back out here in the garden. So I think we'll be fine with it, but a large part of the plant died on one side of it. It was multiple plants in the pot originally. I can even see it right now that there were 2 plants in that, 2 cuttings in that container, and I'm wondering if they basically just strangled each other to death potentially. I put 3 Obsession Nandina in a cluster out here by the fence. When I see Nandinas, and this is a non-invasive Nandina, it's a non-flowering Nandina domestica that gets super, super vivid red foliage on it. All the new growth on it is this color, and it will be for months, and it contrasts really well against that kind of blue-green foliage that it has in the old growth. And then In the winter time, it turns almost fire engine red. I've shown it on the channel several times, but when I see these little dwarf nandinas looking really good in the neighborhood or anywhere, they're planted as a kind of a colony almost and allowed to kind of colonize. So I just planted 3 of them virtually in the same hole right here. They'll get about this tall, which I want them just above the fence right here. So you can see that that bright red color from that side of the fence and from this side of the fence. These need a lot of sunlight to color up, and where this is sitting, it's got a little bit of a limb hanging over it from this, but the sun actually tracks on this side of the garden for the summertime. So, and it already is, it's just behind here now. I think in about another month, we'll see it tracking directly over us, and then further as we get into summer. And these will just be blasted the vast majority of the day. What else went out here, Steph? We planted the 2 salvia that went into the garden are the skyscraper. This is skyscraper orange. Again, we're going for super hot colors out here. I mean, I think you guys are going to be, we're going to want to see it from space this year. These skyscraper salvia are not, as far as we can tell, perennial for us. I mean, I think I would need a really, really mild winter to have one of these come back. We had a super mild winter last year and they didn't come back. So this year we had a real winter and they definitely didn't come back. But we're lucky enough that we can go to big bloomers and buy them in those small, you know, tiny little containers and for a reasonable price. So I'm happy with that. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be replacing them every year. But that thing will become, you know, this wide and this tall, and the bees will be on it the entire spring. So maybe a little under 3 feet in height, a little under 3 feet in width. We put 2 of them in. This is going to be annuals across here. And the annuals are going to come in here where they can, you know, and meet these, the couple perennials that we've put in as well. What did I cut that? I cut this root ball off of the bottom. What did I cut that off of, Steph? I don't even remember. Yeah, I think this was off of one of the bottoms of the Gerbers. I wanted to show this. When you get a plant that's root bound to the point where it's matted down at the bottom of the container, I will just saw that off. And so I sawed it off with the shovel this morning, which you can literally take a pruning saw and saw that off and get rid of that. It's so deep down in the ground, it's probably not going to live anyway, especially in my kind of clay-based soil out here. But for all the years I've been landscaping and planting, 39 years of this, that is what I do. If it comes out of the pot looking like that on the bottom, I saw it off, and then we'll rough up the edges on it some. I planted 2 new azaleas, and you're going to see them being planted right now as I'm talking about them. But this one is Autumn Kiss. It's the next available Encore Azalea. It's a beautiful bicolor. It's not available at retail yet. I think by fall, maybe you'll see it show up in a few places, but it'll definitely be that next spring. I know every grower is excited about it. And we were at, in the first place it got displayed was at Cultivate in Columbus, Ohio last summer. And it was in full flower, you know, at Cultivate in middle summer, because down on the Gulf, they can get them to bloom spring, summer, and fall. So they brought them up to Cultivate in full flower. And there was not a plant more talked about in that entire show than that azalea. Buddy has absolutely knocked it out of the ballpark with that one. But we'll show it more as time goes on. The plants look beautiful that we put in. We're not going to show it, but we're actually planting the Encore Azalea that's coming after that too. So it's another 2 years on that one probably, but another one that I've seen for several years. And I know what the name is going to be, and it's another one. So many years of working on these things now, and they have to be different in some way because there's 34 of them or something in the collection. So when you release one now, it has to truly be different, and these next 2 are truly different than any azalea that you've probably ever seen before. And of course they bloom spring and fall. A few other things in my little pile over here is, I could call this channel, I said it in yesterday's video, gardening with red maple roots. And it's just unbelievable. That red maple that we took down almost 5 years ago now, 5 years ago, still continues to give us gifts. There's not a hole you can dig out here that's just not got crossing. You know, if you've never dug that hole before, it's got crossing roots in it that have to come out. They're much easier to come out now. They're starting to rot finally, 5 years. They're starting to rot, and now I can stick a shovel under them and crack them and then get them out much easier than before. We had a Baptisia here last year, and we wanted to transplant it over to the native garden on the other side. It's actually one that Chicago Botanic Garden sent us that's from their breeding program. And here's the craziest thing, and I didn't show it. I was digging it out, and I should have turned the camera on. But this was planted, it was, what do they send us these in? Little pint pots, right? They were little pints, okay? And we planted it here midsummer or something like that when they got sent to us. This thing had rooted with roots that are, you know, slightly smaller than a pencil, that had run all over the place out here. I don't know if you've ever tried to dig up a Baptisia before, but if you want to move one, you better move it pretty quick, okay, before it gets too established. Once these things are super established in the ground, they anchor themselves like nothing else. It's kind of wild. So that was pretty wild, digging that thing out of the ground. It had only been in the ground for 6 months. Everything else out here, these things that have been in the ground 4 and 5 years, I could have gotten out quicker than this little Baptisia, which is kind of funny, but it's totally fine. It doesn't have any soil on it, but it's going to go right back in the ground in just a minute. It'll be absolutely fine. It's almost hard to kill one of those things. There's a Deutzia blooming up here. This is we showed this a couple of weeks ago because it was suckering, and we cut a few of the suckers off, and they're now in containers in the back garden, and they'll be part of the giveaways for the open garden event, which is tickets are over on the website if you're interested in coming. This is Deutzia scabra. This is the variegated version of it. A little different species than you typically see out in the trade, but it's a good one. Long bloomed, but really, I mean, compared to a lot of our spring flowering shrubs, you know, spring flowering shrubs, the early spring flowering shrubs tend to be, you know, they open up and we go, wow, and then you look back and they're kind of gone. This one's kind of led the anticipation for a few weeks now to it opening and has those full open flowers on it. And then this one's a variegated form, so even after it's finished flowering, it's still a nice looking plant. I'll go through here. Some of these taller branches, I'll just trace down in the plant and prune down to take a little bit of the height out of this in a few, after it's finished flowering, maybe bring this, you know, branch that's a little wide, and I'll just track it into the plant a bit. I'll show that when I do it. We're gonna have to do some pruning and some videos coming up, but I'll leave it shaggy because I like it shaggy. I like the look of it. I just don't necessarily want it to be quite that tall necessarily because it's gonna get taller from here and I don't wanna get taller from there. The coleus, I guess, would be next stuff. I planted 3 of this. This is Alabama, it's Alabama Sunrise, right? Alabama Sunrise coleus, and you guys saw this. We had the one in the back garden last year, and there is no coleus that I've seen that shows off more than this one. I love coleus, and if you go shopping for coleus, there is an overwhelming number of them available out on the market, but this one is really showy, and it just gets more vivid in time. More color contrast shows up in it in time. Really kind of hot colors. Again, it's going to go with this hot planting. Here's the Gerbers that are coming back from the ground. These were, again, these got knocked all the way to the ground this winter, but you can see already April 14th or whatever we're filming this on, you can see them coming out. They'll be big and giant like these other ones that I just planted soon enough. But these coleus, really good for several reasons. Number one, I like coleus as pollinator plants, but I really don't want them blooming during the growing season all that much, because when they start blooming, they stop growing, and I'm really growing it for the foliage, and the more foliage it puts on, the more colorful it is. So a lot of breeding work around suspending the flowers later and later into the season. And I don't think this thing flowered until like October or November last year. So I didn't have to do any of that cutting on it. Normally, as they try to flower during the season, you'll cut them to try to keep them, again, more compact, more leaves, the better. But if you can find that Alabama Sunrise, there's nothing like it. And again, it's tiny little plants right this minute. Not, you think I'm over talking this thing, but if you saw it in the videos last year, it's just a showstopper in the back garden back there. And that was in part shade. This will be out in full sun. They'll do either. So not a problem there. What else did we plant? The azaleas went in behind the bench back there. And then one more of those Alabama Sunrise coleus right here. And then the big addition to the front garden for this video, and it will have annuals planted around the front of it. This is an osmanthus called Party Lights. And this is one of the more cold hardy osmanthus, first of all. So those of you in zone 6 can try this plant. I wouldn't try it out on the edge of your property necessarily, but a lot of the other osmanthus species are zone 8 or higher. This you can try as high as 6B for sure. But this one is super special, and we've passed it. Unfortunately, we didn't film it when it had the full color on it, but as that new growth was originally emerging on it, it's this incredible pink color. I mean, it's really, Party Lights is like the perfect name for it. And then it has a really nice form and shape to it. It will eventually flower. Some of these osmanthus are a little more shy to flower initially, so it'll probably take a season or two. But it'll have those fragrant flowers in the cool season. We are ultimately probably gonna lift this up into a small tree, maybe. I don't know. I might keep it as a low-growing shrub. I might turn it into a little Christmas tree shape. I can kind of do whatever I want to do with this. And shearing it occasionally will probably force new growth out on it. And that new growth is what's going to be the real showstopper for this plant. It looks absolutely wicked, but we call these false hollies. Now, I can figure out how to grab a hold of it and have it hurt me. But, but it doesn't in general. You can prune this thing and get in there and not really hurt yourself unless you're, again, if you go and try to hug it and make friends with it that way, then it probably would hurt you in some way. We've got all the annuals that are going to go on these lines around the path here. We've got a few more perennials that are being plugged into some spaces here. We've got a night on the 43-degree night on the forecast right now for Wednesday night. I'm filming this on Monday, and so we'll probably hold off on the annuals till Thursday or Friday. When I said last week, I said winter won't let go. Crazy thing was when we had that full moon, was that Saturday night, Steph? Saturday night was the full moon, and I mentioned this in the Sunday Q&A. I talked about how the full moon has some sort of weird impact. They were predicting 44 degrees for Saturday night, and we actually, about 8:30 at night, it was slightly overcast because we were trying to look for that moon, that full moon, which was that pink moon. It was somehow the furthest the moon can be from us, so we were looking for it, but it was clearing off at that time. It was predicted to be 44, but it ultimately cleared off on Saturday night, and with that clear sky, full moon, no wind, still air, low humidity, we woke up the next morning panicked because it was 37 degrees out here. It was 7 degrees lower than they had predicted overnight, and we had left our annual trays in the back. Luckily, didn't get down to a frost or a freeze, but they certainly weren't happy with that. So again, just waiting. 2 or 3 more days here, I think we'll be past it, and we'll start plugging these annuals in if you're following along with the channel. So there you go. There's some of the redesign of the front garden. Again, we've trying to add some evergreens out here, but not take up all the space because we really want this to be, the showstopper. And, when people come here for the open garden, they see something that really wows them. It's early in the season, so it's not wowing you now, but it looks pretty good. I think overall it's looking better without the color. Which was the point of some of these plants that we're adding. So thank you guys so much for following along.